We've got somebody in the house who is the multi-talented, the multi-award-winning, amazing writer, actor, director, producer. He's going to introduce himself because then I'm going to mess it up. Maybe say to this camera over here who you are and utumengani.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Otsile Mangope. And I am an actor, I am a dancer, choreographer, I'm a director, I am a writer, and now turned copywriter because I write ads.
Wow. Listen to that. You see, you think you know somebody and they've moved on in life, right? Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing, man. Copywriter.
I know.
Wow. But it's in you, right?
No, 100%, definitely. Yeah. I think also that transition, I guess I'm already rolling into probably what you asked me.
Yeah.
I found a gap.
Yeah.
I found a gap in our industry, and we are told no so many times. As actors, as performers, you go out and you try to do this and you're told no, and we're barred from entering spaces.
Right.
And I thought to myself, as much as, look, I've been rejected.
Right.
I can't stand the rejection.
Yeah.
Because why are we being gatekept?
Yeah.
And I told myself, I'm going to come. Back door.
Yeah.
I went in and I said, I'm going to be creating these platforms and these spaces for people.
Wow.
Which I've been given the opportunity to do. And I'm loving it.
Loving it.
I love it.
Wow, man. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, people may not know what a copywriter is. It sounds amazing.
So, COPWRITE.
Yeah.
So, copyright, not to be confused with the law, RIGHT.
Okay.
So, I literally write ads. I write ads for radio. I write ads for TV. I write ads for social media, YouTube. When you see those ads, before you say skip ad.
Yeah.
You're taking away my money. Do not skip the ad. I need every view, people. I need it.
Absolutely.
So so that's what I do. Wow. I write ads. I conceptualize. So come up with an idea. Right. Try to make it as fresh as possible because nothing is a new idea anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's big. Yeah.
So that's what I do. So for anyone who's trying to get into the market, there are courses, there are degrees. You can actually go to school for this thing.
Right.
Which is, again, something that is not told to many a black kid.
Yes.
This is a space you can go into. You don't have to become a marketer. There are people, look, I hate numbers. I hate reading. I hate researching. So marketing was never going to be for me.
Yeah.
But I knew I just had to stay in that creative realm and in that space.
Wow.
So I was like, how do I extend my writing?
Yeah.
How do I extend that arm?
Sure.
And I found copywriting and I was like, ha.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell me, when you write, I mean, you obviously educating quite a number of people watching right now. An ad, so somebody comes and says, I've got an idea, or a client comes in and say, I want this messaging to go into the world. Is that how it works? Or do you research first to find out what is it that they want yourself and then go write something? How's the process?
So I think with us, I work for quite a big firm right now. So they come to us and then it trickles down throughout all the passages and all the people who need to be told.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it gets to us, we're told, look, Gap is coming.
Right.
This is what they want to say. They want to target people between A and B.
Right.
This is the messaging. This is the tone. They want something informative, educational, but also very fun and exciting for 18 to 30-year-olds.
Right.
Create that message. Create that idea.
Wow.
So I have to sit with my team and we think of different ideas.
Right.
We bring... Look,
yeah.
Your first idea is probably not going to be your best idea.
Yeah,
we bring to the table 6, 7 to 10 ideas.
Wow.
Which, again, gets sifted through by Mr. Josias, and he says, I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
And then we have to go back to the drawing board until we find something that he absolutely loves.
Sure.
That will live on, not only for 6 months, because that's what we do, but can live on and on and on.
Wow.
I mean, if I can just give you an example, if I say... Chicken Licken, people start laughing. Because they already think of the ads. If I say Nando's,
the brand,
people are on Twitter already laughing and standing on their toes, waiting to hear what Nando's is going to say. So that's what we try to do. We try to push out messaging for a specific client and brand that can live on beyond its time.
I'm liking that because I think a lot of people don't know what branding is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a whole lot of teaching that you can give out there with regards to branding. As actors, as writers, as directors, are we brands?
Oh my God, 180%.
Yeah.
So, funny story, as I was driving here, I was listening to radio station, they were talking to this girl who was an SEO specialist, so search engine optimization.
Right.
So if, for instance, I want to type in Gap,
right,
the first thing I'm going to get is a Gap, right?
Yeah.
But then if I type in Gap and Josiah's,
yeah,
the first thing that needs to pop out is you.
Yes.
So you are attached to a business, you are a business.
Right.
So if I search Josiah's and then I find Gap and then the next thing I find is you in a very precarious position, it deters clients from working with you. It deters people from working with you, especially people with students, because if you're a parent, that's the last person you want your child to be under the care of. So you have to, as much as people think when people, actors, producers, and celebrities say, I'm a brand, and people go, ugh, no, you're an actual brand.
You're in a brand.
If I write a script for a very big beverage company, the last thing I'm going to do is look for you who is also spewing hate speech on your platforms. And so I then have to re-look at you. Then, yes, you might fit perfectly for you might have the look. But your mentality deters me from that, because then it is going to be a lawsuit against you, which then we have to cover up and then which we have to pay for. So it's
the positioning.
It's about positioning, and it's also about, look, we are in a world that's very accepting, but we're also in a world that's very... That's living in the learning and unlearning phase of life. So yes, we're very accepting, but we're also big on cancel culture. So I can cancel you because you say you hate gay people. But then I need you because you know. So it's a very thin line to walk on. So I always tell people, just be careful. Go through your social media. Type in words. Type in trigger words. Delete them. Delete those views. You don't look. You learn and unlearn. People are learning and unlearning every day. People are unlearning. I always say to my mom, I will never take love advice from you or relationship advice from anyone born after 1980. Because it's been passed down that someone, you need to stay. You have conquers all. I'm like, I don't believe in that. You don't stay. Love is not... Love is not oppressive. It is patient. It is kind. So I don't listen to everyone because you were raised by someone who was raised by someone who was raised by someone who came from a very
different
hard time.
Periods.
And so that advice has been trickled down, and then you find people who are in loveless marriages or relationships or abusive places, and it's like, but... Yes, it's because that's how you're conditioned. That is how you're conditioned. You were raised by people with traumas. And so it creates trauma responses to that. Yeah.
Very, very important. Very, very important what you're saying, because I think that goes to the heart of a copywriter. And I mean, every brand has got its culture, it's got, background, the touch points of the and I think what you're saying is that when you look at a client holistically, 360, you got to know everything about it. Having been in the advertising world myself, I mean, I remember how it was quite interesting. We normally think the client wants to do a commercial for television. And then I learned the quickest way. They said, who are you talking to? Because do you know that my clients? Do you know my customers? Do you know what I mean? Consumers, they don't actually, they listen to radio. So your research was wrong, And I realized that there is a thing of, we need to research to know what the client wants and then give them, what is correct. Because now sometimes we think we're imposing things on them.
100%.
Just going back to who you are, let's touch a little bit about how me and you met, because this whole program is about profiling each other, right? So how did we meet?
So I think I met you in the most uncanny way possible because I I just graduated from UP studying drama, theater, and you were there a year after me.
Right.
But I just kept visiting the space, and one day I introduced myself to you. You were doing a show at the time, a media show with the seniors.
Right.
And I just walked in, introduced myself. I'm like, hey, look, I'm Otsile. I'm going to be sitting in. And you're like, you're a very assertive young man. It was strange. And I just sat in through all your rehearsals. Yeah. And then I went from sitting in to becoming a co-director.
Yeah.
And it just sort of snowballing from there. And then we did the first, I remember I was part of the first group of Gap people. Right. And we did a show in Salisbury.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
And we wrote, choreographed, and I composed songs,
man. Yeah.
For a show called Dexi to Maunde.
Yeah. Maunde.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful show.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, I'm like, it's so weird how something so small, and I mean, I don't even know if you know, some of them are literally in the industry. Some of them are in theater spaces and television and radio. Right. In background. And I'm just like, that is what you need to do. Yeah. That is why I joined this program. Yeah. And I actually did a lot with you, come to think about it. Yeah. Because we did Soulsville.
We went to prison.
We
can tell stories about prison.
Oh my God. What an experience. What an experience. Yes,
oh, man.
In prison.
In prison, man. That's beautiful. And how did you find that? I mean, the transition, especially from working with community actors and now you're working with prisoners. I mean, that process. So
for me, they are a community either way.
Right. Right.
Whether you are in prison, you are removed from the seen community because prison is very unseen. Yeah. It's an unseen space. It's an invisible space. It's a place we take pariahs. But in there's a community. Right. There's literally a community. You know, society. There's a library. It's an entire world in there. Sure. So I had to then remove myself from saying I'm in prison. Yeah. And I think luckily for me, we had a program in varsity called TFD, Theatre for Development. Yeah. And I was one of the groups that worked in prison, the very same prison. Yeah. Yeah. So there was like a full circle moment. Sure. Because it was like I'm back. Remember. Yeah. But the one thing that was very different about working with prisoners, they either try to escape. Yeah. Yeah. Every opportunity they get is an opportunity. I remember the day we had to perform. Right. And my actors did their own show. From the show we had planned, rehearsed for months. Yeah. They did their own show, edited their own songs. Yeah. Had their own dances. And I just literally looked there. And I remember you looking at me like, what is this? What is this? And I sat there and I said, and I had to let it happen because it's a different space altogether. Correct. This is how they are showing their community. This is what we've been doing. So I had to also understand that the laws in there are the same out there.
I mean, I wanted to tell you to tell us a little bit about experience that you had, but what you're saying just takes me back to. By the way, do you know they didn't want to work with anybody else but with Gap? Really? They're still refusing to work with anybody else. They still want us to go. So you still have a mission to go to that space. They still need you. But I mean, it was quite interesting. The culture in prison was something else. But as a creative, how did you maneuver, in spaces like this? Because you were from an institution, right? Where you were, taking care of students and so on. Here is the real world, right? Where now, as you brightly say, it's another world with rules and so on. How did you maneuver as a creative to get, I know they changed the story later on, but the process that you took, maybe you want to talk a little bit about it.
So I think getting into it, I came with my staunch drama. Yeah. Do all the rules and the lines had to be perfect. And look, I come from worlds, again, like I said, worlds of rejection. As a gay man raised in a Christian family. Right. Things aren't always as black and white for me, you know what I mean? And I've always had to bend the rules slightly and find a way to maneuver through that and navigate through life. So I literally had to sit down and think. I remember I didn't even leave the facility. I just sat in my car and I was like this. And I was like, okay, I need to think. I need to rethink my entire strategy. And so instead of doing sun salutations, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, arm, and doing voice exercises, I said, what do these people respond to? Because they respond to something. There's something they respond to. It's not something that is classical. It has to be something different. So I put them in a world that is similar to their worlds from where they come from. And we just did different, so we do like different acting exercises. Like I'll set up 4 chairs, 2. I'm like, okay, Shap, you're in a taxi, let's go. Set up, put different chairs there, put a 4, make 3, 2. I'm
Some
like, okay,
improvisation.
I'm like, okay, Shap, now you're in a tavern. Let's go. Move the setting from a tavern. I'd put them in a pew. I'd do 3. I'm like, okay, now you're in church. Let's change. So I just put them in different scenarios in things that they knew and said, let's switch it up. So let's see how your character develops throughout that time from being in a taxi to being in a tavern, then to moving into church. You're not the same person you were in church as you were in a tavern. You're not. You really aren't. And so it's just about, and so they responded differently. They were responding well to them. They were like, oh my gosh. And I think also it's that suspension of disbelief that they had in that moment, because they were not doing they were not doing voice exercises. They were not doing things that I was trained to do. They were doing different things, and they were just like, they could see themselves in this world. And it's about creating that world for them, because their confines are 4 walls and bars. How do I move you from 4 walls and bars? How do I put you in a space? How do I put you in a world? And so that's what I had to do for them.
Something that you did very beautifully that I remember you and Sandile did was using the power of imagination. Because when you exactly say that, how do you take somebody outside of these 4 walls? There was a whole lot of imagination exercises you guys used to do. Right? And in prison, and this is for Sandile, I never listened. Don't do those kind of exercises, It's going to make the guys look at you in a funny way. Don't bend in prison.
Don't bend. Never bend.
Oh, man, we had moments, I must say.
He was, bless Sandile's heart. Such a sweet boy.
Oh, man. But now you are a copyright and you are now in this corporate world. And do you still see, I think maybe I'm asking this to all the graduates, right? Before we go to this question, I actually wanted to ask, is there a need for you to study this craft?
100 yes. So for me specifically, I'm bringing in something that a lot of people aren't bringing in. I'm bringing in the workshops I've had with Josiah. I'm bringing in the workshops I've had with... So the thing with the graduate arts program is that it's not just me as a facilitator teaching people. It's very symbiotic. As much as I'm teaching, I'm learning. Because I'm also stepping into people's worlds. And people are sharing their lived experiences with me. They are bringing in their voices, their nature, their truths. And so I have to adapt to that. And so many people step into the corporate world having a corporate mentality. They are there to either learn or just give. Whereas I'm there with second circle energy. I'm giving, I'm taking, I'm giving, I'm taking, I'm giving, and I'm taking. I'm giving from... I mean, look, we work in a very weird place. I went back to school at the age of 27 to study this thing. And my first anxiety was, oh my God. First year. I'm going to be a granny amongst these kids. And then I got there. And
like I said.
First year. And there were so many people around me who were 39, 32, 26. And I was like, wait, what's happening? And I stepped into my office and there were people from all walks of life. And so as much as they are giving out, I'm also taking in. And I'm also giving out because people are... So no one's doing what I'm doing. And I always say to people, no one can do Otsile better than Otsile.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know who else.
Sure.
And look, congratulations if you think you can.
Yeah.
But you will never do me better than me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think having studied the arts, having studied drama, having done facilitation, having done the program, gives you a certain skill set that you won't get anywhere else, because you learn more about yourself and others around you.
You know what you're saying is so critical, because I will say to students, some of you may not go into theater, television, or what you studied, but you will go to corporate environment. You go to government or private or public sector, right? But here's what these guys in the public sector, in the private sector are saying. They want to learn the skills of an actor, but they're not saying it in those words. They say EQ. Emotional quotient, right?
Yep.
And then we say, no, that's exactly what we've been doing all our 3 years, 4 years of study, working with our connection with our emotions, right? So you already have that as an actor. You've been
100%.
trained with that, right? So when you go into that world, you thrive. One of the things that I do is to train, managers, frontline staff. And guess what we do? We use theater methodology, the actor skills. And we realize, actually, everybody needs this.
Yes.
So you possess it and you can place it in the world out there.
Yes.
We're going to close, right? Because we don't have much time, right? I wish we had millions of time, because this person over here has got tremendous talent that he's not even spoken about.
No.
But I want us, maybe as you're going to be outroing, I wanted to find out something. I know this one is a bit personal, right?
No problem.
Personal in a sense that it got to do with your great-grandfather?
Yeah, grandfather,
right?
Yes.
You're a grandson of Ntate Mangope,
yes.
Lucas Manyani Mangope, right? And I wanted to do a show around that, and to talk about his life, because I think he did tremendous work, right? That really made the black person proud.
Yes.
And sadly, we know the politics. And do you think stories like Tate Mangope should be told? How does that make you feel when you're being told it cannot happen?
So, for me, right, it's very strange, because a production that is out right now, about the kingdom of the Zululand. And the pride and, the glory of the Zulu nation and all of that. We have so many of those stories.
Right.
A lot of people have tried telling the stories in Tsabatswana. And it's almost touch and go. It's very, very touch and go, and it's fleeting, because look, I don't discredit the groundwork that people have put into it, and you can never do that. But it's weird, because we have such a segregated community, Yabatswana.
Right.
And it's not just, it's people who feel like they own that story. We all own that story. So you go to a place like Mafikeng, and they have their own politics. You go to where we're from, Kuluhuruti, and it's like, but who are you? And it's that sense of ownership that people still want to hang on to and cling on to, because, again, we're a nation that's not necessarily together.
Right.
As a people, like coming from where I come from, we're not necessarily, we go together. You know what I mean? It's not happy clappy, and no family as big as that that comes from royalty is always going to be together.
Right.
We're seeing it playing on the world stage with the British family.
Right.
It's just that with us, no one is detailing that.
Right.
And at the same time, we also need to remember we're black.
Yeah.
We don't want every story to be told. We're black and we're still alive. His sons, his daughters are still alive. His cousins, his nephews, and we're all affected by that story.
Sure.
We all probably want to benefit in some way. We all probably want to keep certain things hidden.
Yeah.
We all probably want to be seen a certain way, and we still want to have this person commemorated as a stalwart, as a hero. And so if certain things come to light, will we still see the person that way?
Yeah.
And again, like I said, we're Black people. We're labeled and riddled with so many different negative connotations that I wouldn't want people to think, oh my God, what if my granddad was a philanderer? What if like you know what I mean? Like, because things do come out. And,
of course.
You know, you have creative license. I mean, you're not always going to stick to one. I mean, that's also boring.
Sure.
So I think that's probably what's stopping a lot of us from delving into that space, and the fear of keeping it sacred.
Yeah.
What
a answer. I mean, that is so poignantly put, you know.
Thank you.
But I want to find out in closing, right? Are you saying that in terms of telling our authentic stories, are we still in the right space? Because there was a space when people were telling American stories, the styles of American, you know. What is your take on the authenticity of our stories?
I think. This might get me in trouble.
Yeah,
but
we want the trouble.
But I really do think that our stories, there's a paradigm shift.
Right.
We're seeing our stories being told, stories of gangsterism, stories of violence, and stories of... Not all our stories are violent.
Yeah.
We have such poetic... Our literature is deep.
Oh, beautiful.
We have stories that go venda. But their own stories. We have stories. Why can't we tell the story of Mojaji? Why can't we tell the story of the vendor chief who brought on harvest? Why can't we go into our archives and tell these stories? I am so tired of seeing a gun. Like Jesus Christ, take the wheel. I'm tired of seeing guns and drugs and violence. Not all our stories are violent. But the only way we can learn about each other and each other's backgrounds and histories and culture is to bring this up. You can take, I mean, there was a show that was done, a rendition of Romeo and Juliet back then. I forgot, Guguno Andile, I think.
Oh, it's a Guguno Andile, yes.
That was such a beautiful recanting of a classic story. Are you telling me everyone that thinks like that is dead? There's no way.
There's no way.
And that's why I try to bring that as well into my work. That guys, why not tell a classic, but retell it, recant it in a very different way. And so I think, again, coming back to these stories, coming back to these authentic stories, you know, when you want to do things differently, I love it. I absolutely love it because there's a mysticism in our cultures. There's a mysticism in our traditions that we're not exploring.
Wow.
And that we're only scratching the surface of. Because you know what? We're Black. We're magical. We're magical.
I mean, as a case in point, when you did Maunde, you told about the longest street in Artstrepreneurship, right? That was the story.
And I literally thought, a story about a street.
About a street,
And what I loved about Dexito Maunde was that it's literally telling a story of how these people, all these people who live in Maunde. You get families who live in Maunde. You get churches in Maunde. You get a graveyard in Maunde. You get schools in Maunde. It's so rich. It's so rich. Contextually, it's so rich that you look at a street and you never think, oh yes, a play will come out. No. You look at a street and you see all these different characters, and everyone is a character on that street. I mean, we had a differently abled person in the show. You know, someone play a differently abled person in the show, and people could literally say, I know that character. Because it's authentic to that place. So I don't know. I enjoy things like that. I enjoy taking something very small and just turning it into something big.
Otsile is such a storyteller. I could sit here and listen to you.
I know.
The whole day. And I'm so honored that our paths have crossed in life. You spoke about reciprocity. I think it's a big word that I must say slowly. But having met you in my life, I really learned a lot. And, working with you, you were always there. You were always there giving. You were such a giver. And that's one thing I really take out from you. And also, your ideas are just wild and crazy, and you know what I mean, and which is beautiful in the creative world. So kudos to that, and may many more in your new journey that you've taken. Really have it's a blessed journey.
Can I just say to you?
Yeah,
I think from 2015 until now, that's 8 years.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Not just the lessons, but the love you've given me. I don't think people know this, but I call you father.
Yes.
And you have given so many of us a space, a mouth, a voice, a standing point. You were a shoulder to us.
Wow.
I could literally stand on your shoulders. I mean, if I could say this, you introduced me to someone who became my boss, to someone who opened so many doors for me. Obripo, we worked on a show together. And even from Jobe, you introduced me to spaces, you introduced me to people, you introduced me to different styles of thought.
Wow.
You've done so much for one person that just this moment right now, it made me think.
Wow.
It really made me think of all the times you've had a door, you've had your hand on a door for someone. Because you've had a hand on a door for me, for Tori, for Sandile, for Jade, you've had your hand on doors for many people, and you opened them and you've let us in, and to you.
Oh, thank you. That needs a moment. Wow, man, I'm touched.
Thank you.
I was gonna cry, but you know.
You were gonna cry. I had to stop.
I was always there. Thank you so much. Wow, man, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. That hit home.